This is one I think is a necessity of who has to make a big step. Not a lot of playing time last year. Highly touted recruit, from the state of Michigan, and it's defensive tackle Derek Simmons. I think for Michigan State to be successful on defense, this man has to make a huge leap. I mean, I didn't want to put Jordan Hall here because it feels like we all know what we're getting out of Jordan Hall with some of our defensive backs, with some of the corners. Charles Brantley, we could say, is a returning player since he played a few years here at Michigan State. And maybe we can lump him into, because it seems like we need someone outside of Trey Ball in that defensive backfield to step up. I think Derek Simmons has to step up for this defensive line because it is a very thin group. It is a thin group, losing Van Sumer and just what we've lost, and just not a lot of action in the transfer portal because, hey, these are expensive players when it comes to the transfer portal. Getting the big uglies, they take a lot of money. Just college football in general seems like every position is taking a lot of money. So having some homegrown talent, only played the 4 games last year. So still retaining that redshirt status, played, the first 3 games, Western, Boston College, Youngstown State, got a couple of tackles, played in the Minnesota game as well. But, so the stats maybe not sit there and project him to make a huge leap, but he's going to be stepping into a spot where he gets to kind of make his own luck here in 2026. Coming from Frankenmuth, highly touted recruit, staying here, putting on the green and white. And I think Derek Simmons is in a prime spot to make a huge leap next to Ben Roberts there on the D line, to kind of make him a bigger name for Spartan fans to remember. And it's hard to be a bigger name. The man's 6'3", 305 pounds. We need him to help clog up this middle and help this defense survive Big Ten football. If we're going to get to that ceiling of 9-3 this season, which we talked about last week, the floor and the ceiling of these teams, even if just not achieving our ceiling, but escaping the floor of 3 or 4 wins, Derek Simmons is going to have to make a huge impact for this defensive line. And defensive tackles, their stat lines are never the sexiest, never the best, but it's just more of that impact we can see in that rushing yard, that opposing team rushing yards number, make a huge impact. So Derek Simmons is going to be the number 2 returning player for Michigan State for us to make that next step here in 2026, or the first step with Coach Pat Fitzgerald. And it's a primo position that it seems like the last few years, like we've had talent there. The lack of talent's been on the edge side, and it's just that we need to clog this run. And if he can be a little disruptive in the pass game as well, that'd be fantastic. But Derek Simmons is a name to watch for Michigan State's defense heading into the 2026 season. And we'll see. We need it. It's a very thin defensive line. And so we need someone to step up. And with Simmons staying here in the green and white, staying in East Lansing, he put himself in a prime spot to make a huge step forward, and just being a redshirt freshman as well. So that's another huge impact of it, is not only do we get a huge impact defensive tackle, we'll get him for at least one more season after this. You just have to say the 3 years, can leave after your redshirt sophomore year. But, if Simmons has a nice year here, we're already feeling better about our present, but feeling better about our future as well. Having a redshirt freshman step up.